help section on the Faces app following this meeting. Okay. Well, it is 11:05. I believe we're going to go ahead and kick off. So once again, thank you all so much for joining. We really appreciate your time today. We hope that this is going to be an informative training session. And once again, if you do have any questions, please go ahead and post those in chat. Sunny, if you wouldn't mind, let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm sharing my screen. Welcome to Faces User Management Training. And for today's agenda, we will go over Faces introductions, user management roles, role hierarchy, recertifications. We'll go over the Faces demonstrations, and then followed by questions and answers from the chat. We'll go over that. From this training, I would like you guys all to take away how to create user roles, role assignments, locking and unlocking accounts, and brief recertifications. So let's go kick off. So what is Faces? So Faces, FTA access control group system known as the Faces is the part of FTA's Appian platform, also known as the Tribe Integrated Appian Development Platform. Faces provides unified user management for all applications under the Triad platform, and it enables systems in Triad platform to manage and control user access. User management. All systems on the Triad platform rely on Faces for user management functions. Within Faces, each system or application, such as TRAMS, NTD, SSOR, DGS, OTRAC, and EchoWeb, has its own set of user roles and access privileges. Some of the major functions for Faces include creating new user accounts, managing those users, such as adding them to another applications, deleting the roles, copying user roles, authenticating users when they try to log into the FTA platform, and locking and unlocking accounts, and recertification, deactivate and reactivate users when it's needed. Roles. So applications in Triad platform manages user access and user actions via roles. Roles provides a way for Triad applications to categorize users, define who can access the data, define who can take specific actions. Faces has its own set of user roles, which allow users to take user management actions and understanding user management responsibilities as a global security managers, GSM, local security managers, LSMs, or user manager, is vital for managing roles and role certifications. So for each system, we will have a system administrator who will be assigning and managing global security managers. And then you will have global security managers who will then manage local security managers and global use viewers, followed by local security managers who will be responsible for managing FTA staffs and other user managers. And user managers will be responsible for managing users in their organizations. Recertification is a process that requires managers to validate users who need continued access to the Triad platform. The basic idea is to ensure that someone is aware of and approves each other so that the odds of an unauthorized user having the access to the platform are minimal. All users on the Triad platform require certification annually, as required in the DOT Cybersecurity Compendium. Global security managers, local security managers, and user managers are responsible for reviewing and recertifying users who fall under their supervision. Users who are not recertified or specifically are decertified are automatically locked and removed from the Triad platform at the end of the recertification process. I'll pause here. If there's any questions in the chat, we can take in before we dive into the Faces demonstration.
Thanks, Sunny. I don't think that we had any significant changes yet. The only one that has come in so far, the only question we've had so far is a question about if an agency has a name change, how would they go about changing the name in the system? There's a short answer and a long answer to that. The long answer is that you should definitely make sure that you have updated sam.gov, which is the source of truth for all the various name changes. And then following that, it's wise to put in a help desk ticket. Mike asks, how many user managers can an agency have? There is no limit at this current time. Sheila asks, if a person's account was removed from the Faces platform, why does the system include this person's email when it sends automatic emails as if the account still exists? The short answer on that one is that no account is ever really deleted. It's just deactivated. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but the system picks up on that sometimes, and that's one of the reasons why. Natalie says, do all roles need to be filled? What if you are a small agency with only a few members having access? Natalie, yes, all roles in the system that are applicable to that system need to be filled. So you would be, I think, wise probably to consult the user guides for any particular system that you need to access to find out what each of those roles do and which ones need to be filled. Typically, one or two people in a small agency can hold sufficient roles in order to allow the grant making process to occur. And once again, for everybody, we are monitoring chat. So, as these questions come up, we'll try to answer them in chat, and we'll be pausing periodically throughout the presentation to answer questions verbally. Let's see. Annie asks, how do you remove email for staff that are deactivated? The answer to that is you would have your user manager, local security manager, or if needed, a GSM, go into the system and deactivate that user. You don't ever actually remove the email because that is their username. Dawn asks, does the user manager have authority to control Echo users? Yes, they do, but it would have to be an Echo user manager. And Ali asks, I keep getting messages that my account is automatically locked due to inactivity. Does the system require logins every 60 days? Yes, it does. Martha asks, good morning. Will we be able to access the recording later? Martha, you won't be able to have the recording, but we will have the, actually, I take that back. I think you will be able to have the recording and we'll have the deck posted as well. Okay, we're going to continue on. I'll try to answer the remainder of these in chat. So once again, thank you all very much, and we'll keep answering these as we go along.
Okay, thank you for that. So we will go ahead and do a demo on our UAT environment. I will be logging in as a GSM for TRAMS user. So as I mentioned, global security managers will have a Faces access, Faces user management privileges. Along with that, since I am a TRAMS user, I also have access to the TRAMS card. So this is our home triad page. So any systems that you have access to will show up in here. So you'll go ahead and dive into our Faces user management. We are landed on, for the first time, those of you are looking at it, this is our Faces user management page. We have actions, reports, and help center. These are the 4 sites. I'll go ahead and go over this manage users since this is what we will be mostly interacting with. So this shows all the users in your organization. So I'm logged in as global security manager. So I have a lot of users in my organization, and my also shows me how many users in my organizations. There's 5,000. And there is a filter here if you wanted to look into see the role category. As I mentioned, we have specific roles. So if I wanted to look at for TRAMS recipient users and wanted to see how many user managers are there. So these are the roles that you can filter by. If you would like to see who are the roles for each organizations, you can also limit that search. So for example, you wanted to see user managers in region 1. So for here, it will show me all the region 1 managers. There's 105. These are all assorted. You can assort them. Each columns gives username, last name, first name, system, access control group, cost center, organization, user role, last certification date, created date, modified, and last login. Some of these columns you'll see because these are the test data. We're in a test environment, so the data will be a little different than what you see in production. So here we also have generator reports. If you like to see how many users in region 1 user managers are, you could generate a report by clicking in. Are you sure you want to generate a report for these filters? Click yes. This will send you email. It will generate an email to send it to you for download link. And you can also refresh here to get a link to generate the report in Excel. So this takes a few minutes, depending on how many users in the list. And here we also have, these are statuses are auto-populated active and locked users. You're able to view the statuses as well. We have a clear filter. And let's see, go back and see if there's. So and yes, we do have the downloaded link available for 15 days after generation. And once you click on it, it'll give you the list of users in Excel format. On the top, we have a quick access to the create new users and create multiple users. Create multiple users are for creating recipient users and contractors in bulk. And we have create new users that are, you can manage FTA users, create organization users, and contract users. Those actions are also available in actions page. Here you'll see a lot of actions. And today we will go over create manage users, recertifications, and review unlock requests, since these are the main vital ones that we use every day and annually for recertifications. So let's go ahead and create and active a new user. It'll prompt you with the user type. We have FTA staff, which you don't create users due to LDAP already creates the users for FTA staff, FTA users. Organization users you can manage or also create, and external you can manage and also create. So let's go ahead and do a sample for organization users. Click next. This will let you input a username that has to be an email address. I'll type in Larry Smith. Okay. Once you enter a valid email address, which will also be a username, it'll pre-populate your username and email address for you, so that cannot be changed. So let's go ahead and put in the asterisk, which are required fields. It also requires you to put in address. So put in a Virginia address, zip code. Okay, once everything looks valid and accurate, you can go ahead and select next. Oh, looks like we forgot if you miss any required fields, it'll prompt you to input you to enter that field. Let's go select next. So here is the user manager role page. You'll come across many times to come to this page. This is where you will add a role, update any roles, delete any roles, and copy any roles. So here is the new role. Since this user is a new user, you'll go ahead and select a new role. And by default, since I'm a TRAM system, I can only create users in TRAM's recipient. In this role, I'll go ahead and select create a user manager and access control group, which is basically determines which managers of user managers and LSMs can manage that user. Select region 2. As you enter organization, it will give you a list of valid ones that are in the directory. So I'll go ahead and select one of the organizations. Cost center is pre-selected. And then justification document is an optional. If you want to upload any document stating why this user manager needs to be a manager for region 2, you may do so, but that is an optional. And comment is a required field. I'm going to simply say comments if you wanted to state the reason for creating or deleting or adding, that would go in here. I'm going to go ahead, select create. It'll ask you by clicking submit, you certify that this user requires the role organized to them, is in good standing with their associated organization, and is valid for user of the assigned FT system. You need to select yes. And then it'll prompt you to user creation in progress screen. This will take a couple of seconds to a minute. So while it's refreshed, I'll pause here. If there's any questions in the chat, we can answer that.
Thank you, Sunny. We've got a few that have come in. So let me start off. Let's see. Tra had a question. Can you go over the different roles and what they mean? I'll go over the top 3 that have relevance for this presentation because there's dozens and dozens of roles in the system for each of the different applications, and we can't cover them all today. But the big ones that are of relevance to this discussion are GSM, which stands for Global Security Manager. That is an FTA user who typically sits at headquarters for each of the systems, and a GSM can assign any role to any user in the system. The next rung down is an LSM, or a local security manager. That is an FTA regional role. And an LSM can assign any role to any of the organizations within their region. So anybody who has access to a system for which they're an LSM within their region, they can assign roles there. And the final rung before you get down to the various user roles would be a user manager. A user manager is somebody who can assign roles only within their own organization. The going down to Aisha's question, are the available roles and their access and definitions described somewhere? Yes, they are. They are described in the user guide for each of the different applications. Linda asked, why is a comment required? Because security. I wish I could give you a better answer. The short answer on that one really is that due to some of our audits, our security auditors and other people who are concerned with how roles get assigned like to see a reason why a role is present in the system. They were talking to us about potentially having to do a justification document for every role. We talked them down to just having to do a comment. So that is that's the short answer there. Kristen asks, is the justification document always optional or just for certain roles? It is technically optional. There may be certain regional or application requirements that are requiring a justification document in particular places. Rochelle asks, how many CEO delegates can an agency have? I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head. That would be something that would probably be within the user guide for your particular application. Priscilla is asking, hi, is it possible that you can lower the volume on your end? I have the volume off on my end. However, for some reason, it is extremely loud and gives a feedback in my office. Priscilla, I would adjust your speaker volume. Sherry asks, do you have to submit new justification documents when you're recertifying? For instance, same document, but just updating the date, or can you just click and recertify with the same document? You can either click and recertify with the same document, but you're still going to have to put in a comment. So I would just put in a comment unless your recertification is required. Unless, I'm sorry, a justification document is required in your particular case. Sherry, I would increase your speaker volume. Linda asked, back to the comment, that is to identify why we're adding a user. That's the info required. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. So to put in a comment when you were adding a role or a user, it's simply asking, why are you adding this role to this person? It doesn't need a lot of explanation. Typically a sentence or so would suffice. Mike asks, a user manager cannot recertify themselves, correct? That is correct, Mike. A user manager cannot recertify themselves. When we go through recertification, it follows the user management hierarchy. So it goes GSM, LSM, user manager, and then all the other users. So an LSM would be doing your recertification. Marilyn asks, how do we assign a user manager for Echo? You would need to contact your regional office. A regional LSM can do that for you. Let's see, Dominic asks, why can the NTD contact submit annual report corrections without the CEO? Dominic, I don't know the answer to that question. That would be a question for the NTD group. So if you put in a help desk ticket directed to NTD, I'm sure that somebody there can answer that question for you. Mike, that is interesting and should not be happening. If you have other roles, they may be able to recertify your other roles. I would be curious as to if they could recertify you as a user manager. They should not be able to do that. Okay, I think that has run through the comments. Sunny, let's go back to the presentation.
Thank you. So upon partially refreshing, Larry Smith has been created. You can click here to access the user's record, or we can go ahead and go to the user managers, and I will show you how to go to user's record. So here we're back on manage users. You type in a username. Larry Smith at Mailinator. We found Larry Smith, Mailinator. So here we have the user that has been created. It gives you the certification date of today, and then created date today, modified, and last login. So to go to user's record, you'll simply click on the users link. This will take you to user details information. These are the account information and contact information that has for Larry Smith that we have created. User role gives you details about what roles this user has, their statuses, and then direct managers for Larry Smith. So you will see Larry Smith, who is a user manager, will have LSMs, who will be the user managers for region 2. So these are all the region 2 LSMs that's shown up here as the managers. If you need to contact them, this is a test environment, so data are different and probably more than what you see in production. And we have history that gives you a filter and role details information, certification history, account history, and profile history. And then related action is where we mostly come in here. If you need any actions to do, for example, edit their profile. If you want to change their names, you could do so. Username, your role would give you back to this page where we were. If you wanted to add another role, you can edit this role. Let's say you want to add another user, another role for these user managers. Let's say in region 1, this user would also be a user manager for region 1. You can simply copy it and then change it to region 1 in one of the organization. And again, justification is an optional. You didn't need justification document, and the comments, it could be short as a sentence or a word, requires for region 1. Something like that, and then submit. So this is, we will be managing or adding. If you need to add a role, if you need to delete, you can also come to related actions, and you can delete the user role. You can also deactivate this user by clicking the deactivation user action and leaving a comment, and then you'll deactivate the users. The comment is a must. So and it's a reason why you're deactivating this user. And then we also have locking. Lock user, that maybe the user is in a vacations. You may type in the user needs to be locked due to security reason. You may enter that comment and select locked, and the user will be locked.
Sunny, would you mind going back as soon as you finish up here and demoing one more time how to see who a user's user manager and LSM are, please? Just as soon as you finish up here.
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and just not lock this user, but this is how you would come in here and lock a user that needs to be locked. I'm going to go ahead and cancel it. Let's go back and do a user manager roles. So here, did you wanted to see who are the managers for the Larry Smith?
Yes, please.
So you'll go into user roles. Under user roles, you'll have all the roles, like we just added another role for this user. So now the managers will be more than what you saw before. So this will be all the LSMs, and LSM who will be the managers for Larry Smith, for region 1 and region 2. Okay. So there's 47 LSMs in region 1 and region 2. Okay, let's go back to manage users again. And here you can also look in to see, let's filter by FTA user, and then you want to see LSM. And you want to see for region 1 how many LSMs there are. And it will give you a list of 27 LSMs. So these are also where you can view and manage, and you can click on the users and then manage those users. Any questions in managing and creating users? I'll pause here for any other questions.
Yes, honey, we just had a question pop up from Linda. Is the default status active and locked?
Yes. When you log in, your default status would be active and locked, but you can certainly check all the active users by unselecting it, and this will give you only the active users. Or if you want to see locked users, you can also look at to see how many users were locked. And so this shows that region 1, 3 LSMs are locked. And you can certainly click on the users. And if you want to unlock them, you can go to related action and unlock the user. This takes back to good questions unlocking. So there's three ways a user can be locked. One is the 60 days inactivity. If you're not active in the system for 60 days, if you're inactive, you'll be locked. Another locking happens when recertification. During recertification period, if you're not recertified, after that period closes, you'll be locked due to not having your roles recertified. And then the other one is this locking, when you just go ahead and ad hoc the related actions, your managers locking you for any reason. So this is managers can also come here and see this user is locked. So that's why you only get to deactivate the user or unlock the user. Unlocking, once you unlock these users, let's go ahead and unlock this user. And type in a demo, select submit. So this user, Filbert Pat, has been now unlocked, and then you can then manage this user, add a role, manage a role. That would happen. If you're locked and to get unlocked, you would need to submit request, and that request happens when you go into that user. So for example, your user that is logged. So let's go ahead and log in as a logged user. So I have a user here, Amanda, who's a logged user and got an email saying, okay, I am logged out of the system. And then you come in here, sign in to the Triad platform, and you find yourself logged. So how do you unlock it? There's no actions you can take. So the only actions you can do is click on the unlocked account. And here gives you two options to unlock your account. One is to send a request to unlock your account, and the other one is using your security questions. If you don't have a security questions, then only option is to send a request to unlock your account to your supervisor. Please unlock my account. Type in a comment and then submit. So Amanda just submitted a request. We'll go back to the supervisor user, global security managers. So I'm going to go ahead and pop back to GSM user and then go to an action. Here you will find the unlock submitted request. So you can approve or reject any unlock request that comes in. And as you see, we just submitted an Amanda, who was a logged user and requested it sent, and log date was, this was the log date. So you can select Amanda, review the comments, and then you also leave a comment or reject or approve. You just go ahead and unlocked, approved. You approve the request, yes, and then user will then be, it takes a few seconds, and user is requested, is unlocked. If you want to look at, see Amanda UM is now active. And this, the last modify I did was today. I'll pause here for any questions for locking and unlocking account.
I think locking and unlocking is pretty much wrapped up. Oh, I take it back. We just had a new question. And so Linda asked another question. When you add someone to the system, would they be automatically locked out? They should not be automatically locked out when you add them to the system. There may be a weird thing happening with, I think it was Larry in the test environment, but in reality, they come in as active. Candy asks, can someone other than a supervisor unlock an account? Also a good question. There are typically two ways to unlock a person's account. If it's locked due to inactivity, in other words, if somebody just doesn't log in for 60 days, that person can go in and unlock their own account by answering security questions. If the account is locked due to recertification, then the user would have to request an unlock from a supervisor. So two slightly different scenarios there. I think those are the ones. Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. To return, just to clarify, Larry, there in the system looks like there's two Larrys. One is Larry who is deactivated without the user Larry Smith. If you type in, so this one is a Larry Smith that is a different Larry Smith than one we just created. So that might be it. But when you create a user gets an email sent, and then you log in login.gov to access your Trident account.
Yeah. So it gets a little tricky when we have to do demos and test, because the test environment has a little bit looser restrictions. But in reality, if somebody pops in, they will always be active as they're created.
Yeah. Let's go into action. And here we have recertifications. As mentioned, recertification happens annually. So if I'm logged in as a GSM, and you'll come in here, recertify users. You'll be able to recertify all the local security managers in this grid. Here gives you a list of all the security managers in their headquarters or local security managers that GSM can recertify. Since there's a lot of users, you can also limit them by filtering certain cost center. And then you'll see that there's 26. But if you need to certify all of them, you'll do a bulk. This way you can select all of them and then go down here. And this gives you option to recertify, decertify, or generate a report. I'll show you for a demo that you can also do a simple one user. And here, the recertification comments, that is also optional. Documentation, as mentioned, that these are optional. And then you can decertify. Decertify will remove the role. Like if you click it, it will ask you that you are sure to decertify the roles of the selected user. If the user has no roles, then they will become deactivated. And recertifying will then certify you for another year and the role will be active. So I'm going to go ahead and select yes for certification. And KIT is removed from the users. This is a filter to use. You can clear filter and this will gives you all the users, and then you can generate a report of users that still needs to require recertification. So I'll pause here for any recertification questions. It's pretty self-explanatory to recertify users annually.
We have one question who came in. SNDOT asked, who certifies Echo users? It's a great question. I'm glad that you asked it. Echo users are going to follow the exact same pattern now that Echo is within the Appian landscape. So if you don't already have a user manager for your Echo Web accounts, I would strongly suggest that you get one. Because that user manager would have the initial responsibility for recertifying Echo Web users. If there is no user manager for the Echo Web users, then that responsibility would devolve back to the local security managers. So getting that user manager set up is probably a good idea. Wendy asks, are the recertifications required at the same time annually? Yes, they are. We require recertifications for all of the applications in the winter of each year. So starting in and around December is when user managers will start to get notifications, and then in January typically is when all of the various users will be recertified. There is a minor exception to that. NTD has a couple of different recertification windows. Andrea asks, what is the difference between certification and recertification? They're the same thing. Mike asks, we set up the UMs in our agency to recertify each other based on, Mike, I'm not sure what you're seeing, but based on our quick search of your history, you were actually recertified by your LSM. So your user managers cannot recertify each other based on your system history. Sharmila asks, how do we set up a user manager for Echo? You would need to contact your regional local security manager. Charla asks, only LSM can recertify and not UM? Actually, no. So the LSMs recertify user managers, and then user managers recertify everybody else within your organization. So it's a closest to the ground type security model, where the idea is that the user manager should be able to recertify people within your org because theoretically they know those people or know of them or can find out whether or not they are valid the easiest, as opposed to an LSM who would have to, in theory, email out within the organization until they are able to verify people's identities. Okay, and let's see here. We've got one other large question. I'm going to read through this one and probably respond in chat. So Sunny, back to you.
Okay, thank you. So in actions, we have covered recertification, create, manage users, and review log requests. And then other actions are just supplementary or helpful for managing users. Like, for example, assign bulk role. Assign bulk roles will be multiple users that you can assign bulk roles to. Remove bulk roles will be removing roles in bulk. And then, as mentioned, creating multiple users will be users that you can create for recipients and organization users and contractors in bulk. And review role requests, that has been deprecated. We do not have any review role request anymore since the justification documents has been lifted. And this is one, two others that are ad hoc email is for only GSM to view. If you want to send emails to multiple users, you can use send ad hoc emails. We have reports. Reports are limited to, for example, LSM can only see the user details report, deactivation history report, and recertification report. And user managers can only have access to user details report and user deactivation report. So these two are, as we went over user details report, this is simply the user manager's role page. You have list of all the users in your agency or organization. And then we have user deactivation history report, which you will be able to view any users who are deactivated in the system or their history for deactivation. Recertification, you're able to view the recertification statuses of all the role groupings. During the recertifications, you're able to see, for example, your GSM, you want to see if all the users are being recertified in region 1. LSM, you can create a group, filter, and I'll show you the filters. So you click on certification status report.
Sunny, you're cutting in and out just a little bit.
A little bit longer to my internet. Apologies.
Okay, I think I can hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that could be my internet. So here is, for example, the filters you can search by 2000. This is 2023. So we'll go look at the report for 2022. Here gives you, these are test data. So this could be different from what you see in actual in 23. Currently only LSM that's been opened, that the one that I just demoed for user managers recertifying LSMs. So you can see the list of number of users who has been certified and the remaining. It gives you a breakdown of all the recertification history. Lastly, we have Help Center. For today's demo, if you have any other additional questions and would like to know more about roles and role categories, and for each applications, we do have Faces User Manager Manual. If you select Faces User Manual, this will give you a read view, and also you can download and print. We have frequently asked questions. This is also useful. There's a frequently asked questions that you might have find the answer to in here. And then we have system information. So this is a place that you could find good information about Faces User Manual and frequently asked questions for today's demo. I think that concludes it. If there's any still remaining questions in the chat, we can go over.
Thank you all. So I think that there's a bit of confusion about the recertification report that was just shown. So if you are looking to see how many people need to be recertified within your organization as a user manager, it will just simply show you that if you go to your recertify users action. So it'll just list them all out there. And that's why we don't have a report for organizations. It's simply not necessary. The reports only show up for the LSMs and GSMs to give them a overview of anybody who is lagging behind within their region so that we don't have people who accidentally fall off. Any other questions? Please don't hesitate to drop them in chat. We'll be around for another few minutes. And again, we will be posting up recordings, and I know at least one person had asked for a transcript of the meeting. Wendy, you are very welcome. Thank you for attending. And we've got a few people asking where we can find the recording. We're actually going to be posting that up in a couple of different places. So one will be on the Triad homepage. Another is going to be on the help section of Faces. Let's see. Jose asked when we will have echo training. Echo training is actually next month. Kathleen asked, I logged into the FTA Triad platform and I cannot see the help desk or user manual download. Okay, that's interesting. If you were able to get into the Faces application, it is a tab at the top. It's a core tab in Appian. If you're not able to get into Faces, that may be an issue. Let's see here. And thank you, Abdi. The echo training has been posted in chat. There's one on the August the 22nd and another on August the 21st. Veronica, we actually don't require those forms anymore. So if your region is still asking for them, then I would direct the region to talk to us at HQ. Those forms are no longer needed. So we have no plans to update. Not to my knowledge, not even for the submitter or developer. There may be a specific, but for that particular app, in which case, like I said, if somebody is specifically asking for you to do that, please let me know and we'll talk to them and see if we can get that sorted out. Vanessa asked, how do we sign up for the echo training? It's going to be a similar registration as to this one. We'll post up a system announcement that lists the training dates. And then you just click the link. Yeah, so let's see. There may be particular regional requirements that are not specific to Faces where they are asking for those forms. If your region is asking for them for some particular reason, you may still need to do it. They may have some filing that they're doing. But in terms of the Faces requirements, we are not requiring them. You should be able to just enter new users for NTD and trams if you are a user manager. Libby asked, can you mess up anything by clicking and checking things out? If you were in the live environment, yes, you absolutely can. I would not recommend doing that. But if you do need some help or somebody to walk you through something, please do not hesitate to contact us. We are happy to help. Okay. Talia, maybe if you are seeing a lot of those requests coming in for those forms, maybe just send me an email after we get done here. I'll post my email in chat and let me know, and we can have that conversation. Darren asks, echo training info is registration required? We are going to be posting that up shortly, Darren. I don't believe it's up on the Echo page yet. Yeah, and Abdi says it's actually going to be posted this Thursday. So. It's going to be actually both. So there's an Echo Web website where we're going to be putting that information. It will also go up on the homepage on Triad for Echo. To answer Darren's question. Francisco asks, how often is the user manual updated? It depends on whether or not a change has been made to the system that would require an update. So typically what we would do is as we make changes to Faces or any of the applications really, that change the user experience, we would update the user manual. So it's variable, but we keep it up to date with changes in the system. Any other questions? I see that we've still got 100 people on the call. So yeah, if y'all have any other questions, please drop them in chat and we'll see if we can answer them. Okay. All right, folks. Well, I'm just going to hang around for another 4 or 5 minutes, and I'm planning to sign off here at noon. Will there be future training on the other platforms, NTD and Trams? I would expect so. Those trainings will come from those particular support teams, or possibly from your region, or from TPM. So just be on the lookout. Tracy asks, how often does a user have to log in before being locked out? Every 60 days. Ali asks, is there a preferred internet browser to use for Faces? Not really. We use Chrome and Edge internally, and those seem to work fine. I don't necessarily know if we've done extensive testing in Firefox or something like that, but it should work with just about any browser. If you are seeing any weird system hiccups or errors with a particular browser, please let us know. We would like to have that information. See, have all of the manuals been updated to indicate that a justification is no longer required for specific roles? I think that the Faces manual should have been updated with that. The other system manuals, I don't know off the top of my head, but that's a very good question, and I can absolutely take the action to inquire about that and see what we need to do there. I do know that some of the applications have residual requirements while they are talking internally about the future of those forms. But on the Faces side, the system is not required. I recognize that's not the easiest answer. So it is unfortunately one of those situations where the government did not invent red tape, but we did perfect it. So we will take that back internally and see if we can get that straightened out. Thanks, Veronica. Yeah, thanks, Gregory. Yeah, so the Faces manual has been updated. Again, I think it is a very good point that we might need to go back and take that action to inquire with the other teams. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that that is going to do us for today. Once again, thank you all so much for attending. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your patience and your attention here today. This does not end our Q&A session in terms of our ability to give you answers. If you do have additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out either to our help desk or well, mostly to our help desk. And we're very happy to help you resolve any questions that you might have or any other issues that might occur. Once again, thank you all so much for your time. And that concludes our first session of FACES biannual training. So thanks very much. We hope that you all have a very nice day.